everyone, welcome to Dubai Trains. Today we're going to make this street scene. In this first video covering the street, we're going to look at 3 different materials and 4 different techniques to find out which one is the easiest and best looking one. And then in part 2, we're going to get painting. So before we do anything, we need to talk about the game plan. Now, this is the track. As you obviously see, there's 2 turnouts right here. And there's going to be one concrete road right here. And there's going to be an asphalt road here. And then I want to do some different things. So I want to have this turnout embedded in a different color concrete with these concrete tiles that you see sometimes. And then for this section right here, I want to actually have cobblestones. And that's also what you see in the prototype. They use different materials for different situations, depending on the requirements. So now we need to talk a little bit about the products that I'm going to use. For the track filler, for some sections, I have these amazing track filler packages from ABR Modelworks. This is a prototype product that we've been working on, and it's soon to be released. So this, you can just fill it into the track like that and just bend it in whatever shape that you want. That's one product. And for the cobblestones, I got this sheet from Shooch Enterprise Incorporated, and it's just basically one sheet of some kind of like rubber with vinyl in it. If you can see the material there that has cobblestones, it's painted or weathered, but we're gonna anyways paint it a different color ourselves. Another material that I'm going to use are these sheets of foam. This is the City Wink foam 2mm. I'm going to use this as well for the main street and to fill in the other sections of the street here. Now for the turnouts, I have this great product from ABR Modelworks. It's basically a track filler kit, where you can take all these pieces out and put them in the track. It's another prototype we've been working on together. This is specifically made for Pico number 5, and this is a number 5, so that should work just great. So I use that one there, and I want to experiment a bit more with the foam, so the second turnout, I'm actually going to go and use this foam right here. Now I also want to do the sidewalks at the same time, because that's part of what we're doing, and for that I'm just going to use straight up different thicknesses of cardboard. Before we do anything, we need to paint the track. I already did that. I don't have an airbrush, so I just painted it by hand. And I have this Tamiya XF79. This is a color that I borrowed off of Boomer Diorama's YouTube channel. Great guy, very inspirational. So I painted that on easy peasy, like with a brush, and it makes such a huge difference. I mix the paint with isopropanol. There's no need to use it straight out of the jar. And you can see right here what a difference. And I'm really pleased with that. And after I painted it on, I just took a tissue and my nail and just cleaned the top surfaces of the track. Now note, for this section here, the spur that's going to the right is actually going to be abandoned track. So I didn't clean those off, I just left those rusty. So what are we going to do? First off, we're talking about this track filler. So you can see it wiggles nicely, and the thickness is around 1mm, and that's not high enough, because from the bottom of a ties to the top of a track, we have about 2mm. So that's a really easy fix. We just take 2 layers of this, and then you'll see if we get the NMRA gauge here, it doesn't stick out for the top side of the track. So that is going to work really nicely, I do say so myself. Now if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because it really helps grow the community and to grow my channel. Thank you very much. And then the second product we had were these cobblestones. This rubbery matty stuff. It's about 1.3mm thick. So what I did, because we have 2mm to fill up the track, is I took 0.3mm polystyrene. I got 2 sheets, glued them together, then glued them onto the cobblestones, and then you should have 2mm. So look at that, that's almost as good as it's gonna get. 2mm. It might be a little bit, like 1/10 of a mil shy of 2mm, but that doesn't matter. Still some play there. So that's going to work nicely. And then another item is, if you have your track right here, and let's say you would just fill in the roadbed, do it quickly like this, what are you going to do here on the sides? You need to do something. And I want my road to be under an angle for drainage, and it just looks way more realistic. So I came up with a solution, and my solution is this. And as you see, this track filler from ABR plus the height of these spikes is exactly the same as the height of the track, so that's amazing. And then we need some kind of filler to fill in the height of the ties, so I use the foam, the Silly Wink foam for that. And then I just basically switch materials, so I got a little bit of cardboard underneath there, and then the Silly Wink foam, And the filler wink can bend nicely to create this downward movement for the drainage of your street. And then here on the side, I have a piece of cardboard which will represent the sidewalk. So as you see, this is really going to flow beautifully and nicely. So if you want to make all this asphalt, then this will be the same color, this will be the same color, and this will be the same color. So you don't see the different materials, and the sidewalk will be a little bit of a different shade. So let us start with the Turnout Filler. First step is to remove all these pieces. I already did that, and then you have a whole bunch of these guys. And then it's the same as with the wiggly track filler, is we're going to need 2 layers of that. So one layer will obviously be the ones that are on top, and then these splines, or whatever you want to call them, this will be underneath to fill it all up. So let me just make sure it all fits first, because the tricky bit is I want to make everything, then remove it, paint it, and then install it again. I don't want to paint it here because I'm just going to ruin the paint that I already did. It's much easier to do it off the layout. So that fits really well, and this took me what, like 20 seconds? This is a fantastic product. This piece can go here, but like said in the video, I think I'm going to use the Cobble Stones there, so I'm not going to use that piece. But it is nice that it comes with that. So do note when gluing these strips on as filler to stay away from the track edges, because we still have the spikes that are there. And if you touch the spike, then the height of the spike plus 2 times cardboard will be too much. So look at that, just glue the fillers underneath, and that is just very nice. Didn't glue it yet to the track, but wow, look at that, that's going to be super nice. And then I just need to finish the edging like that. Then bada bing bada boom, that will be done. So I want this filler to represent concrete slates or slabs. So for that we need to add a little bit more texture. What I do is I mark the distance and the size of each slab. Then I basically file in a groove with a sharp triangular file. I also file off the top of it, of the surface, to get all the fuzziness of the cardboard away. And as you see, I think this groove will work just nicely. And then to get rid of more of the fuzziness, I actually coat these pieces with a thin layer of PVA glue. So now time for the cobblestone section in between the tracks. First I made a template out of paper, and making templates is always way more difficult than it looks, at least I think. So I actually had to make 2 templates, one for the bottom track, one for the top track. And I glued these 2 together, and then I had a template. And then cutting out the cobblestones with the template, then you get this piece, and this piece then just slides in here just like that. But then I noticed it was a bit bumpy because there's nothing supporting it underneath. So I just really quickly and easily chopped off a piece of this city wing foam, stuck it underneath because it's the same height as the ties, which is really easy actually. And then put the cobblestones back. That will look nicely. It already looks nice, it's not even painted yet. Then the shape for the cobblestones in between the track. I already have the shape from the previous piece, so I just cut that out. I take the NMRA gauge and I check the flange ways, and I just mark it off, and that will give me the width of the piece that will fit neatly in between the tracks. And here is the piece, as you see. And I just want to do a little experiment how much you can flex this material. So if I line it up with the grid, and you'll see this is the shape that I cut, matches the track, and you can almost bend it to like straight, maybe even a little bit more. So this material does have a little bit of flexibility, so that's good. That's easier, it makes it easier to work with. So you remember I needed some polystyrene to fill up these cobblestones so it sits flush with the top of the track, and it will sit just like this. So for now, all the cobblestones are done. I'm gonna wait until I finish the rest, and then I just need to paint these pieces, and then that is that. So now onto the track filler right here, and I'm going to use this flexible stuff, and I found out that this material fits exactly in between the spikes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to press it in between the spikes and basically create a kind of sandwich. So then the sandwich construction of these 2 pieces that are individually bendable, because we glue them together in a certain pattern, then they will be set in that shape. So that will look just perfectly. And another thing that you get to make sure that you have enough space here in between the track is you get these spacers. So what you do is you put these in between the track and the filler. So so that it would really neatly and super tight follow the contour. So to fill in the groove, I actually put 2 layers of PVA glue on top, but that didn't really seem to do the trick. So then I used wood filler just to smooth the top surface out. While this dries, the inserts for this section are done, but wait, I have another turnout number 2, and I want to do this in a totally different way, and I'm going to use the Silly Wink foam for that, and let me show you how I do that. So I saw this method for the first time on Robert Todd's channel, and it seemed so easy and a little bit too good to be true, so I thought I am going to try this. This is way better than a plaster. So here you go. The method is quite easy. You just press the foam onto the track, and then on the other side of the foam, hold and behold, is the print. Look at that. So all you gotta do now is just cut this out, keep some kind of margin for your flangeways, and then yeah, that should be that easy. So let's try this, see how this goes. Well, I'll tell you how that goes. First off, there's a lot of tolerance in this material. Yesterday I measured a piece, and that was about 2.3 mil, which is just too thick. So I actually ordered a whole new pack that should also be 2 mil, that is 1.86 mil. It's in a white color. And I did the turnout again because everything that's above 2 mil is going to stick out above the rails. You don't want that. This is not a very exact material. It's not a very precise material. Or maybe I'm not precise enough working with it. And why is that? It just comes to the fact that it's foam. So it's not a black and white material. It's not like a polystyrene or cardboard. It's there or it's not. No, here it is there. But then if you just cut it wrong or you flex it or somehow under an angle, then the material just gets this in mind of its own. Especially if you look here at this BR Modelworks track filler, that looks for turnout looks way better. So I'm not going to discard this material altogether. I'm just going to classify it as not fine, detailed, and scaled material. So it's good to do roads or maybe sidewalks or stuff like that. But if you really want to get into nitty-gritty filling of a turnout or a crossing, I'm not going to use this material. So you guys remember I talked about the curvature of the road for the dewatering? Now we have it already where the track section is, but in this section of road there is no track, so we have to create it ourselves. So what I came up with is just a layer stacked with some pieces of cardboard. That will just be enough to give this extra dewatering from the center of the road to the sides. And then if you remember the structure, then this gray foam will go on top. So you'll actually not see this bumpy layerness of the cardboard. It'll just be flat like that, yet you'll have this curvature in the road. So that's just a little detail I wanted to show you now that it's still visible. Because once we glue this all in, this is going to be a cool detail, but you're not going to see how I made it. Now if we look at sidewalks and curbs, you notice they're built up out of a lot of different pieces or a lot of different pores of concrete over time. And that creates a relief, and we want to create that as well. What I did, I just measured the size and the location of the concrete slabs, then I scribed it very gently with a knife following the lines, and that should give enough texture. So here's the street scene that I made using all the techniques I just showed you. Everything still needs to be painted obviously, but now I can show you a little bit better what I did and some conclusions that I already have. So let's take the structures out of the way. You can see what I always do with my structures. I create a foundation, and this is really great because then if you remove a structure or you want to replace a structure, then the foundation's still there, and also you don't get any grass or glue or dirt onto the structure. So you see I have 3 foundations because I have 3 structures, and then the sidewalks are connected to that, going to be the same height, it's going to be the same material as well. I might weather this a bit different, but it's going to be the same material. So that's all the sidewalks. We have some sidewalk here as well. And note there's some kind of alley in between these 2 structures, so I had to come up with a solution for that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint this as well in some kind of street asphalt color. And because we have a lot of height, I cut out some space there, and I bent this a bit in a gutter shape like that. And that's going to be a nice little grimy little gutter area. So you see the foam is underneath almost everything as a type of a filler layer. So as we still need to paint it, everything is still loose and separate. So we start here actually. So you see we have, first off you see we have the cardboard I glued underneath to create this arched road. So as you remember, we have these fillers just to get it down. So in the straight sections of the road will go like this, down like that. But in these areas, actually something interesting happens because the road is going down like that. And at the same time, we're trying to curve it like that. So you're going to get some really weird angles there. But it's fine with the filler and some extra cardboard, you can fill that up. So it's going to look really nice. Just how they do it in real life. Yeah, then we have these areas here where we have the cardboard filler. So I basically have the cardboard and then I glued a piece of the foam onto it. And then I actually, because I wanted it to go down a bit more gradual, and I noticed that if this cardboard was flat against the track opposed to under an angle like that it would look nicer. So I filled it up with more of these guys, as you see, just like that. So it sits really flush and nice with the track now. And then this piece will just naturally fill that in. It does get complex quite soon, because as you see here, we have the different technique, and that all comes together here in this corner. That happens here, and it happens here as well. You don't have to have that. I mean, you can just continue with this material all throughout here and throughout here. I could have done that very easily, but I didn't want that. I wanted these concrete looking pieces around this entire turnout. So that's why I made it a bit difficult for myself. And yeah, here is especially more of the same. And here we have the foam filler. Not really super happy with that, but I'm going to leave it because I really want to test it and try it. You can always still replace it with this track filler stuff from ABR. And then here, the Cobble Stones, we already saw that. Fills in nicely. And the other track filler, just look how stiff and solid this has become. The very slight curve that is in this piece of track. It goes two ways. It's a double curved piece of track, and the contour is really nicely followed by this, and it's rock solid as well. So that really, from product point, I'm quite happy with that, and it's definitely something I'm going to use more and more. So those are all the secrets revealed. And if the video is finished, you'll find right there the video where I paint everything, and if it's not finished, you're going to find a whole lot of other nice videos just here, there, I mean there, or here, there, everywhere. Thank you all for watching. That's it for today. Bye bye.